We do things like songs that are a little, what we call sexy. You can see from the title, it's more of a love album.
Welcome to another week of Manversations 2020. Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you everybody for joining in, tuning in each and every week. So excited for you guys. Today's topic, which is toxic femininity. The reason why we wanted to do that is because I felt like this week it was very important for us to address toxic femininity. And I believe that a lot of women out here should not be offended by us addressing toxic femininity, because we have to start, if we want to have a better society, we have to start holding each side accountable. We can't be gender biased. We have the Me Too movement that's targeted men. We talk about, they talk about toxic masculinity. Nobody bats an eye, nobody sits back and defends anything about it. And everything is garnished towards men, 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 men. And it's nobody's saying, hey, you know, men are being held accountable, but what about the women? It's always the protection of the women. But the problem is that in the society of men, we have to separate ourselves from the dusty men so that way we don't catch the bullets for the intended, who the intended target is for. So when we do that, we don't have the other side of women where they don't separate themselves. Everybody's into one lump sum. They're not holding each other accountable. So then when we sit back and say something and address a certain type of woman, then everybody wants to take up for that woman. And then when they do that, problems occur, problems pile up. Because when you're protecting people that you should be addressing, then you're going to have issues because now everybody feels like they are the one and everybody else is the problem. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we address toxic femininity, because it's very important for our sisters to understand that when you're around a toxic woman, you have to separate yourself, and not only separate yourself, you have to hold these women accountable too. You have to draw the line in the sand and say, hey, you know, we are Black women or just women in general. But when you talk about Black women, you know, we exude class, we exude different, the perception of Black women is on a high standard. So you don't want to diminish that image by accepting BS activities that other low-graded women and low-energy women are bringing into that whole circle. So you have to separate yourself, address those women, and then have those women take accountability and change themselves. So that way, you guys won't be affected on a whole level like that. So when we address toxic femininity, we're addressing the women that are very vital as far as when it comes to destroying the community. As you know, toxic people, that's what toxic and low energy people do. They destroy the community. Toxic men destroys the community. Toxic women destroys the community. Now we want to make sure that we're addressing the women that are very harmful to our community and making sure that they understand what's happening and change what they have going on, so that way they are more productive and are helping the image of Black women versus destroying it. All right, because it's an agenda. The world is against us. We have to make sure that Black men are protecting Black women and Black women are protecting Black men. And we got to do that by being codified. And when we're codified, that means we're running on the same mindset, we have the same agenda and goals for our community, for our children, for our future. So we don't want to make a riff about, too many people having mixed ideology. That way it leaves us in confusion. And once we stuck still, we're not in no way to progress. And that's how we diminish and basically get eliminated more rapidly, is when we're not on code and we're not on unisys. Because if you are not together in a unit form, then you're in different enclaves. And when you're scattered out, it's easy for people to take you out when you're scattered out versus everybody in one area, everybody on one code, and you're moving with a force. So with that being said, we're definitely going to get into today's topic, which is toxic femininity. And I want to show you guys, a couple of the representation of toxic femininity, which is where we'll be discussing. So as you guys know, there's a documentary that just came out with Kurt Franklin, and it's a really good documentary. And we didn't know the real deal behind his history and why he was so toxic with his children. And now you start to see and learn the root problem really came from his mother. And we're definitely going to dial down into it. And not only his mother, I think a lot of people leave out the part where his aunt, which is his mother's sister, plays a huge role in that as well. We have, as you guys can see, Jada Pinkett and Jada Pinkett's mother. We'll talk about that toxicity level, and we'll talk about Mama D. That's Mama D on the bottom right, and her toxic ways as well. And you guys know that from years of watching Love and Hip Hop, and her vileness that has been spewed, and the rhetoric that comes out of her mouth. You could just tell the toxicity just oozes out of her so effortlessly. You know, it's part of her nature. It's part of her who she is as a person. So we'll definitely talk about that as well. So a couple of things before we get to that. I wanted to address some things that we've seen in the media. One of them is, we'll go to our topics of the day. All right, so our Trendy Week topic that we wanted to address is, I saw this earlier, right? But I want to show the context of where it came from. So, where is it? Bear with me. I know it's here somewhere. Okay, here we go. All right, so we had Suki Hana. As you guys know, Suki Hana is basically the woman that you guys see. She was at the VMA Awards, and she was on the ground. Looked like she had her butt tooted in the air. Looked like she might have been twerking on the ground, right? So she had her shoes off. Her hands are on the floor. This is an area where people come in. It's kind of like a red carpet area. As you guys can see, the screen in the back shows you that people will stop by, take pictures with the media, and keep going on as they enter inside the venue. And what was so important about this is, like, a lot of people were having a lot of disdain for Suki because she goes above and the top a lot, and a lot of people are just so sick and tired of what is going on. And what happened was, I saw that on Instagram, this thing just blew up because, as you guys know, Delicious, which is she was another sensation back in the day. You guys know her from Flavor of Love. She was on the reality show with many women trying to win the heart of Flavor Flav from Public Enemy. And she ended up winning the show. She ended up being the contestant to win. She won, right? Yeah, I think she did. She won. Because
I have no idea.
Yeah, the first season.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, the first season was what was that girl that went with Shaq? Gosh.
Hoops.
Oh, you mean Hoops?
Huh?
Hoops.
Hoops.
Hoops. Yeah, Hoops. Okay. Yeah, Hoops. So Hoops won the first one, and then Delicious won the second season. And so, you know, Delicious, she had built up her rap. She really didn't get too far from what I understand. She ended up being on radio, but she made a good living for herself. You know, wasn't the big stardom lifestyle she wanted, but it ended up being a little profitable for her. So she has a platform. She's on radio, and she came out and she tweeted, or I should say she wrote on her Instagram, "Too many outdoor shoes been on the carpet, Buttercup." So Suki, in return, replied to that and said, "Girl, you was sleeping with Flavor Flav. You ain't scared of nothing." So they kind of exchanged shots back at each other, right? And I thought it was kind of crazy because, you know, and this is what we talk about all the time. We try to protect you guys and make sure that you guys, when young women are watching this program, because we have young women that watch this program, we have young men that watch this program. And we want you to live life. We want you to go out there. We want you to interact with, individuals, date individuals. And we want you guys to basically feel out and know where you're going to go. We don't want you to sit back and say you got to jump in at something early or, do this and do that. That's not what we're saying. What we want you to do is to feel life out, have fun doing it, but do it with caution, do it with respect, and also be very aware of who you're interacting with. Because a lot of times when you live reckless, and then something bad happens or occurs out of that recklessness, it normally, a majority of a large percentage of the time, normally will work out in a way where it condemns you later on in life. Whether it's you having a child with somebody you shouldn't have had a child with, whether you're putting up mileage on your body when you shouldn't have put up mileage on your body. There's so many different avenues that we can run reckless with. And then when we get on later on down the road, it ends up coming backfiring to that individual. So, when you have somebody like Delicious, who is basically saying a lot of things that a lot of women with class would say, is like, hey, love, you on the floor twerking and doing that. A lot of people's shoes been on that floor. You're more, looking from a woman to another woman, you're more valuable than that. You're more than that, And Suki just took offense to it. Instead of us saying, you know what, sis, I appreciate you for saying what you're saying. Yeah, it was just a moment I had, and it won't happen again, or that's not something I'll do again. And it could have been left at that. But Suki feels like she's untouched because she's has such a large crowd that follows her and campaigns for her that she don't realize what's going on. So in other words, this clapback was very defensive. It was defensive, and she didn't take parts in it. So she didn't feel like, she had the right to say what she had to say and address her, which I felt like, Delicious had every right. And as you see that you had the comments, she had came out and apologized to Suki about what she said. I think this was her apology real quick. She says, not today, Satan. First off, let me start off by saying to Suki Hana, I apologize if my comment upsets or offends you. I should have said, you too fine for that flow, which is much more precise way of describing what I thought when I saw the post, or even better, not comment at all. But unfortunately, I never thought my comment would be viewed as an insult. My people told me not to respond, but the new agenda is to put women at odds and have us hating each other for a good reason. I refuse to conform to that agenda. I believe if you offend someone publicly, you should be man or woman enough to apologize and correct your mistakes publicly. My comment obviously felt like a judgment, and that wasn't cool. I'm a fan and advocate of women, no harm intended, Queen. And I wish you a blessed WCW Buttercup. All right. So I want to show you guys a comment, and then I'll let you guys get into it. One girl said, you don't need to apologize for nothing. You said nothing but the truth. She always keeps embarrassing herself. Your comment was not offensive. Women are ready for war nowadays.
Thank you.
Let trash be trash. She really don't want no smoke. I'm calling a spade as well as defending my family. I'm biased. I think that was Delicious cousin who had went at it with somebody, right? And then another girl said, stop trying to take up for a hoe, point blank. Another girl said, period. And then Delicious addressed her cousin and said, you know what, cousin, I love you so much. She's actually a sweet girl who I am a fan of. The blog just used that to bait us, and it's sad, but I prefer to own up to my part because I know better and I should know how to move in the system. So I'll turn it over to you guys and let you guys comment on what I just read to you, and then you guys can let us know what's your thoughts.
Who first? I mean, oh, this is too
I'll,
easy.
I'll jump in.
Go ahead, man. Go for it, bro.
Shout out Melon. Shout out. We got Melon in the house. Lowell in the house. What's
Miller
up?
Lowell, what's going on, fam?
Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all. Much love.
Mm.
Christ on a bike. All right. First off, I'll just say point blank period. Delicious said absolutely nothing wrong. She had nothing whatsoever to apologize for. I appreciate and respect her being big enough to go ahead and to apologize. I definitely feel that when it comes to our interactions with each other, we definitely should be a lot quicker to forgive each other and to apologize to each other than we are to others. Because it seems though you make one little generic comment out loud and somebody that doesn't look like us has an issue with it, then all of a sudden it's a whole apology tour we go on for 8 weeks, take up a whole residency in Vegas just apologize or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when we actually cross another black person legitimately, then it becomes an on-site beef and a Hatfields versus McCoys type of feud. So I appreciate Delicious for having the humility and the grace to take that approach. And for what I remember about her as well, too, as far as the celebrities have gone, at least the reality TV ones, she's never really been problematic. She popped up, she came on the reality show, one of the OGs of reality TV, did what she had to do on there, kept it moving, and she has been able to leverage that into some opportunities for herself. So shout out to the sister Delicious, much respect to her, much love to her. With that being said, um, it wouldn't have mattered what she said. She could have said what she said 90 different ways with 90 different tones and 100 different verbiage used. As long as she said anything other than a yes, you go, girl, slay, queen, as long as it was anything that wasn't tantamount to that, it was going to be a problem. It was going to be an issue because Suki, like many women, unfortunately, believe that they are above telling. You can't tell them anything. You know, they think that doo-doo doesn't smell. They think it smells like Chanel number 5. They think everything they do is glorious. And anyone that doesn't see it the way they see it is just hating. They're jealous. They're a pick-me. They're this, that, and the third. And if you're a man that addresses it, well, then you're a misogynist, don't you know? You're a sexist. You hate women. You know, you're mama black and everything else. And, you know, it's to the point where you really, it's bullying. You know, you can't genuinely say something in love or kindness, trying to look out for the other person's back because they are hell bent and fixated on doing what they want to do no matter what. And if it's not a battery in their back, that means you're the enemy. Now, if Suki had any sort of dignity about her, any sort of grace whatsoever, she would reach out publicly since she chose to clap at Delicious publicly. She'd make a post of her own or comment on her post and apologize for the way she came at her, that it was out of pocket. She come up with whatever excuse she has. Maybe she was on a cycle, or maybe she was just moody that day, or maybe she had some bad news or whatever. But she would apologize for coming out the side of her neck the way she did to a sister who genuinely had no ill will towards her, and who you can see clearly was not the aggressor in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Suki's not going to do that. Because that's not who she is.
No way.
He is a professional rock thrower, hand hider. She'll throw the big ass rock, it'll pop people in the back of their heads, hide her hands, and when they turn around to address her, then you know you're picking on her or you're targeting, you're bullying her or whatever. You know, I'm so tired of seeing this, man.
Real talk.
It's annoying, it's irritating, and it's disgusting. And ultimately, it shows that many women are being dishonest. Again, we talked before about protection, what protection is and what it looks like. Letting someone know, hey, you know, this ain't a good look for you. This ain't right. This is, you know, You need to tighten up on this. That's protection. That's saying, hey, what's done is done. We can't go back and undo this, but I'm letting you know for future, maybe you should move a different way. That's protection.
No doubt.
Now, you go ahead and you slap that hand aside, you catch an attitude, and then down the line, you catch hell because you keep on progressing in error and no one's around, no one has your back. Then all of a sudden it's going to be, no one had my back. Where's the protection? The misquoting of Malcolm. The black woman is the least protect. All kind of nonsense. But when protection was right there for you, you spurned it. You know, we have to stop this nonsense. It's disgusting. Right. And, you know, again, Delicious going to be just fine. She said her part. She's walking out of this looking pristine and clean. Her crown is untilted. It is in perfect frame. Big ups to her. Suki, beloved, you keep showing us time after time that the floor is exactly where you at. That's home for you. That's home sweet home.
Ridiculous.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I agree. No, go ahead. No, that's on you. That's on you.
Yeah, man.
I agree with what he said.
Real talk. I totally agree with what he said. I mean, a lot of people have made, you know, taken issue to the fact that it's Delicious that was checking her. Delicious has a pretty checkered past herself, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to go into that. That's neither here nor there. In this instance, she did right. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to look out for the sister. Like, you know, you look like a fool. At the end of the day, is what she's really telling us. She was spot on. She looked ridiculous, you know. And this is the thing, you know, women want to talk about how we're misogynist and, you know, we're what's the other word they like to use? Sexist, this, that, and the third. But Jason Black was saying something earlier today that really stuck with me. We didn't used to have to say anything because the women used to check other women. And I've checked plenty of women on this very issue. You know, they're out here supposedly, you know, promoting stuff in the love and relationship environment, or, you know, social media personalities, or whatever the case may be. And you have no checkage, no checks and balances system, no smoke whatsoever. You don't say anything when you see females misbehaving. You always break out the cape and, you know, get ready to go into your bag so that you can get on mission for the sisterhood of failure. You're not helping these women that you claim to care so much about. You know what I'm saying? And it's about time that somebody told Sukihana's hood booger ass how ridiculous she looks. You know, and really and truly, I don't understand why they keep inviting her to some of these events. You know, I don't think she had a video nomination for the VMAs. Why was she there?
You know why.
I mean, well, yeah, you know why. You know, white supremacy loves a useful coon. And boy, Sukihana is at the top of that list of useful coons. I cringe every time I see this woman because she is there to promote the worst possible imagery of Black women. Every time I see her or Sexy Red or Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion or any of the other I'm a Hoe rappers that are out right now, because that's all they put out. There is no balance in the industry. Right now, if you're not an I'm a Hoe rapper, Ice Spice, Lotto, any one of them, you can close your eyes and point. They all talking the same bullshit. If you're not an I'm a Hoe rapper, you're not getting signed. And while it is cooning to put that type of imagery out there, we have to look at who's really responsible. The white supremacists are the ones that fund these people and give them all their airtime. You understand? So yeah, you know, you're crawling on the floor like some type of untamed creature, you know, and when somebody checks you on it, you have something to say. Like Bobby said, it wouldn't matter how they came at her with it. Anytime you try to say something to one of these hood boogers that's on some corrective action type shit, that's how they're going to respond. Because they think that they're above criticism. And that comes from the fact that we don't hold women accountable in this society. We just kiss their ass and pander to them. Shout out Steve Harvey and Derek Jackson. You understand what I'm saying? We kiss their ass and pander. We kiss their ass and pander, kiss their ass and pander. And then one day, when somebody tries to check them, guess what? You can't, because you spent the rest of the time kissing ass and pandering. You know, nobody's above criticism. Man, woman, whosoever shall it be. Nobody should be above getting checked in Black society, and we should all be checking each other, because with people like that out here, who's taking Black people seriously? You can't even behave at an award show like a civilized human being. How are we going to talk about rights with you on a serious level? How are we going to talk about, your needs politically on a serious level? They use people who behave like that to demonize Black people as an excuse to harm us. That was some foul bullshit, man. Like, I really, really get pissed when I see shit like that. She had to go sit her monkey ass down somewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So my take on it is that, women should be out there addressing other women. And I want to say, because I'm not going to take long with what I have to say, but I do want to say that DB Law says this current version of Black women is so sad and disappointing. They want to be as ratchet, nasty, and publicly disgusting as possible, but still want to be treated as queens is truly fascinating. And Llewell said, I was taught to two sisters to a sister the other day who was raised in a nuclear and traditional household, and I asked her, does she do her part in trying to school these young sisters? Her response is, they won't listen to me. Absolutely criticizing women is blasphemy, son. You can't tell certain Black women anything. And we've seen that with Kevin Samuels, and what's so crazy about it is it circled back. Now that he passed away, they want to listen to him when he was not, they want to listen to him more when he passed away and not really listening to him while he was alive. It's crazy the dynamics that we have when it comes to that. It's a weird way of how we idolize people when they die, but when they're here, we give them hell. We've seen it with Biggie, we've seen it with Tupac, we've seen it with so many other people that we've seen it with. But when they were here, we never appreciated what they did or who they are. We just badgered them. As soon as they left, oh man, they're the greatest person. So I think a lot of times we tell you guys to, if you have issues, and you also could tell this young lady too, if you have issues with, trying to let people listen to you or they don't want to hear you, just send them over to our platform. A lot of people listen to us, and a lot of people, been telling us like, hey man, I love what you guys are doing and I'm a change. There's a lot of people that was one way before listening to us and then changed their behavior after listening to us. Yes. So just send them over here. Just send them to the platforms. Let somebody else. Because a lot of times, a lot of people don't want to listen to you when you're the closest to them, because it ends up being like the dynamics of a mother and a father. You don't want to listen to your mother or father, but your mentor or somebody outside the household tell you the same thing that your mother and father said, and now you open to listening to them. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's the little dynamics to it of why some people are hard-headed. But like I said, just send them over here and we'll cover the rest. So I'm glad that she took the time out to address it. But I got to tell you, sisters, and this is very important and very key, stand your ground. Stop flip-flopping. Because when you don't stand your ground and people see you, straddling the fence, they don't take you serious and they feel like you just saying stuff just to say it. So stand your ground. Her apologizing, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
That was the worst part.
Don't apologize for it. You know what I'm saying? Say, hey, sis, it wasn't no diss. That's what it is. That's how I see it. You see like a queen. Just don't do that. Look out for all the other children and girls that's out there looking up at you. Keep them in mind when you do these things in front of the camera. That's it. You ain't got to apologize for it. State your claim, why it's important for a goddess to have an image and in the limelight, and then move on from it. So I'll land my plane there. And definitely you guys said some great things.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Mm-hmm. So going on, I did see, we talked about the ratchetness. We seen this. which clearly is just, I don't understand. We're going to the VMAs. If you're not, on the ground twerking with your hands all on the floor where everybody's got their shoes walking across, then you come on the scene half naked. You're damn near naked. There's nothing really. I mean, if you look close enough, you might see some lips,
Horrible.
And if you sneeze, the top part of your gown would probably fall down, and then your breasts are exposed. So I see things like this, and it's nerve-wracking to see all of this stuff go down like this, and our sister is on the floor like this, twerking up in the venues like that. And then you have the other people, then you have somebody like her that, you end up breeding this type of female into the environment. And now you have a girl like Sexy Red says the most romantic thing a guy has ever done for her was to rob a man on Valentine's Day and then gave her all the money. It was just so sweet. Like,
there go that proxy violence again.
Exactly. And this is why I say, we got to put an end to it, because guess what? Stuff like this happens, right? So Sexy Red, okay, after fatal shooting near her video shoot, right? Fatal shooting reported near rapper's video shoot in Oakland Park, which is not that far from me. It's about 5 minutes away. But when you bring that type of energy, that negative energy, that low vibrant energy that these women are bringing, you're gonna attract low vibrant men. And then you have low vibrant men and low vibrant women in areas, in any enclave of area, any space. There's going to be violence, because you're going to have women get into it with other women. And now that escalates higher, because those low energy women have low energy boyfriends or low energy male friends.
Yep.
So now you're getting jumped or you're getting beat. Now this dude wants to run. Either he's going to run up and try to help you, or he's going to run to his car and go get his fire. And if somebody else from the other girls' camp see that, they're going to run for their fire. And then guess what? Now you have a shooting that occurred right by your video shoot because of all the low energy people that you have in that vicinity.
Real talk.
So,
and just to add on to that, it's not like this happened.
I'll turn it over to you guys. You guys could.
Oh no, I was going to say real quick, and just to add on to that, it's not like this happened in her hometown, near a neighborhood house or near her school or whatever. That happened in South Florida. Sexy Red's not from here. She's from St. Louis. That's multiple states away. It's a long trek down. So it's not like going from Alabama to Georgia or whatever, where that's only a couple hours. To get from one end of Florida to the next, that's about a good 9-10 hours by car, depending on how you drive it. So this is a long distance geographically that you have to go, and yet she's all the way over here, and you see the energy comes with her. So that's just how big her aura is for nonsense and bullshit. Where she pulls up and just like a magnet with iron, just draws the BS to her.
Yeah.
That
there. So,
my God. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, that last comment. I mean,
start with the hazmat suit. I think you might feel a little better there.
I'm just saying, man, real talk. You gotta really, 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 and Mona Lisa actually just made an excellent point. Talking about, of course, we feel it's disgusting. We ain't with it. We ain't having it. But Mona Lisa made an excellent point talking about a lot of brothers who run around talking about how much they love this behavior.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed too. You got these little dusty ass, oh God, this dude out in the street, Sexy Red is walking down the street. He's begging her to suck her toes. I mean, she's walking down the street. You understand? It's this other thirsty one that was went and kissed Suki Han on the mouth. This type of I mean, brothers, true enough, you got these women out here being as ratchet and as disgusting and despicable as possible. That has to be addressed. One thing I really respect, brother Boyce Watkins, when Lil Wayne came out with that song talking about how he beat pussy up like Emmett Till or whatever, him and some other brothers got together and they went after the sponsors to his tour. And his tour ended up being
I
canceled
remember that.
on account of that. And bravo, shout out to him. Yes, that's what we need to do. I would like to see some shit like that happen to Sexy Red, Suki Hana, and all the rest of these I'm a Ho rappers. You understand what I'm saying? And you can add in the Molly Percocet niggas while you at it. I hate to say it, but see, Dolores Tucker was right. I mean, yes, there is a certain element of hip hop where you got to call out the bullshit and it's got to be raw, and you got to get up in people's face a little bit and talk about what it is. Wonder Why They Call You Bitch is not a song I have a problem with. Calling women in general bitch on every other song is something I have a problem with. You understand what I'm saying? And it's something we've been doing for a while. Now the women do it. When we used to do it, oh, you're misogynistic, you're sexist, you hate women. Now that the women do it, oh, it's empowering. You got to make sense at some point. You know what I'm saying? And like these people just be talking out their ass, just making no sense whatsoever. And yeah, there is a direct parallel, the direct line that you can draw from Sexy Red saying the most romantic thing a man ever did for her was rob another dude on Valentine's Day and give her all the money. The level of ignorance to say some dumb shit like that is mind numbing. But there's a direct parallel from women and men alike who listen to this moron. You understand what I'm saying? And gravitate to the messaging and what she's saying, which is demonic at best. You understand? They gravitate to what she's saying and they want to go and support her at her video shoot. Why would you want to? I ask this question about people that watch reality TV all the time. Why in the fuck do you want to watch this shit? Like, why in the hell do you want to listen to this shit? What is there in a Sexy Red song, especially if you're supposedly an intelligent, progressive thinking woman? Sexy Red, Cardi B, any of them, Ice Spice. What is it in this music that takes you in and makes you love it? There are people that I know that are intelligent people that can't get off Cardi B. Why? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I really want to understand this, and then you see the low energy things that they post. See, back in the day, it was just the song and the video. Now it's the song, it's the video, it's the shit they're posting, it's the shit they say on their interviews, it's the shit they say on their lives. You're just inundated with this bullshit constantly. It's much more dangerous for the youth and even for adults. People always talk about the adults, but they don't talk about how many talk about the youth, but they don't talk about how many weak-minded adults are also influenced by this type of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll land my plane there. It just has to stop, man. We really got to get on top of this shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna really quickly just toss a couple more pennies into the well. The problem is, again, just it goes back to delicious. It goes back to what we are saying. The issue is, who is it that can actually hold these women accountable? Because again, there's countless examples of men being taken to task for things rightly and wrongfully so. I don't think any of us who are of age will ever forget the infamous tip drill video where you had good old Nelly right there at the end of his video. Tip drill was all the rage. He took his little credit card and slid it between his stripper's butt cheeks. And I think even recent in the last several years, there was plans to invite him to one of these schools' homecomings or whatever. No, I think Spelman. I don't know how long ago that was, but Spelman had actually sought to, or the committee there has sought to invite Nelly there to perform for them. And then the overseers of the committee just they deaded the idea because of the video and sliding the credit card between the butt cheeks and because how disrespectful it was to women. So Rick Ross dropped in his song, we can't forget, back on You Know It, talk about I put Molly in a drink and she didn't even know it and all that. And there was a huge issue where they went ahead and took him to task. I think he had to suffer some setbacks monetarily, whatever. Even recently, Snoop Dogg shared in the interview how way back in the day, in the 90s, we're not talking about now, but back in the 90s, right when he and NWA and all the others were popping off, it was, I almost said Dorothy Danders, wasn't her? It was Dionne Warwick sent him and his crew an invitation to come to her estate. And she invited them up there. You know, she had tea out there for him and everything. You know, and she was a big deal back in those days.
Mm.
You know, they're talking, chatting, and she basically, in a loving auntie type way, said, "I want you to call me a bitch." And they're like, "What are you talking about? We ain't calling you a bitch." Like, no, I want you to call me a bitch. She's like, "Man, we ain't calling you a bitch. We're not going to do that." But, so why is that you're calling so many women in your songs bitches and this and that and whatnot? But, taking them to the side and just being that OG figure. And he said that made a big impact on them when they left. And around that time, I think the Dogfather, just for a timestamp, the Dogfather was the next album that he dropped, I believe, after that encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, he kind of tapered it back. He said, he tried to take his music into a slightly more positive way to at least balance it out, if nothing else. But that moment, he came and he's like, I appreciate that. Who right now, what prevalent, and I asked this question when I saw that video, what prevalent R&B artist can go ahead and pull aside a Sexy Red or Meg Thee Stallion or Rihanna and check, say, why are they sexualizing yourself, putting yourself out here like that? That's wrong. Jermaine Dupri made a general comment on an interview about the state of women in rap music. Yeah. And he was catching hell. Nobody can tell women anything. It's sexist when you do that.
It's insane.
But you can pull men to the side and tell them this is incorrect, and and they're listening, they're responsive, or you can at least penalize them. There's a gross imbalance in our ability to address dysfunction among us. And that is a huge contributor to gender warring, because just like with siblings, if you show favoritism to one sibling over the other, it's going to create resentment in the others. And in the other sibling is going to create a sense of superiority where I'm better than you. And that creates sibling rivalry. And then you wonder why you have some dudes that have no love, care, compassion for women. Because everywhere they turn, they see that they're getting checked, while the women are free to raise all kind of cane. That cannot happen. We have to have balance. And the problem is we have imbalance. Everyone keeps on talking about no one holds men accountable. That's a dirty lie from the pit of hell. Men can't sneeze without being held accountable. Women, on the other hand, can borderline murder somebody and they can still walk out unfazed.
Real talk.
Exactly. I totally agree with that, because like I was saying earlier when the program started, is that we have toxic masculinity. We have the Me Too movement. These are stuff that are geared towards men that will try to put men in their place and hold them accountable for their actions, but when you don't address the other side, now, like you were saying, Drake, about how you have it's like, rivalry with your sibling. Like, you're always picking on me. You always have that child that be like, you always pick on me and you never pick on my brother, or you never pick on my sister. Why are you always on me? And that creates the resentment. And now that child doesn't even want to deal with you as far as anything concerning us about parenting or anything like that. And the child is almost like in the mind frame of running out the door and saying, the hell with this damn household. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and be the whooping cushion for all y'all, and everybody else gets to be bad. And I'm the one, as soon as I pick up a spoon, I'm the one getting yelled at, So yeah, it's really on that level. And that's why I say it takes a great group of individuals to have these dialogues and conversations. Yes. And that's why I said, this is why we bring it to this platform, because this is the place where you're going to have unbiased and great dialogues to get the solutions out of it. And we've been doing that for a very long time, and we're going to continue doing it and address the elephant in the room topics, which this is one of them. So when you have these people that's out here doing what they need to do, we have to sit back and, hold them and embrace them and be a part of those people that are out here trying to do the good work. Because the more we embrace the people that's doing it, the more larger the unity becomes, and then it can overshadow the low energy out here.
Right.
Before I land my plan, I want to address Mona Lisa when she says that a lot of guys like that type of behavior. What you have to understand is psychologically, men dominate through sex. So if men aren't out here getting money, if men aren't out here being valuable, building assets and things like that, where they can't make certain moves or they lose it, then you're going to have guys out here that's going to only focus on low energy women. Because if I can't conquer in life, if I can't conquer in the things that I need to conquer with, then the only thing I can conquer is a low energy woman, then I'm going to gear towards those low energy women. So if you see men that like that, are low energy men, because men that are up in a high level like that aren't going to gravitate to those types of
True. But however, to her point,
yes,
too many goddamn low energy men out here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, I didn't want to cut you off, but I just want to interject the point that we go right back into the circle of it, because it really goes back into toxic femininity, because who's raising these low energy men?
True.
And we have seen a lot of them grown over the short period of time. Why? Because we're not having the nuclear structure like we did before.
Correct.
So now that's where it goes. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, sir.
This doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Go ahead.
No, continue your point, Major.
No. I was done. I just wanted to interject that right quick, and I'm good. Yeah, that was it.
No. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. We, like I say, a lot of people are disgusted with it, but we have to keep that disdain up, because it's kind of like the police shootings, right? We're not doing anything to stop these people from killing our people. And the more we amplify that, the more that they put that out there, and we don't have no solutions to stop that and nip that in the bud, then every time we see a police shooting, guess what we do? That's just another one. Right. Instead of us being more and more, we used to be more and more raged about it. Now it becomes normalized.
Right.
And we can't let this type of behavior, whether it's men or women, we can't let this behavior, this toxic behavior, just amplify like that, because after a while, you just start to see it as normal behavior. And that's not normal behavior. So we got to make sure that collectively, we keep pounding on it. We keep bringing it up. We keep showing disdain for it, because you're not going to win, because our children suffer from that, because the more they allow it to be programmed out there, the more it affects our household.
Yes, sir. You're spot on with it, bro. The mic is on fire. Lowell was just saying that in the chat.
It was on fire from y'all. I'm just,
hey, man.
Kept it going.
We are combustible in this bitch. You dig? Real talk. Yeah,
definitely. So I definitely want to get into another topic that was very trendy, right?
Yeah.
So it was reported that Jeezy and Jenna May got a divorce. They broke up, right? Jeezy filed for a divorce. He filed for the papers for them to get a divorce. So the divorce is in the process. And it said Jeezy and Jenna May reportedly broke up because they couldn't agree on certain family values and expectations. Each felt like their needs wasn't completely being met. And what's so crazy about this, right, is that Major has told you guys on here, because I remember Major saying it. Major told y'all the vetting process. You gotta have the deep vetting process. Can't wait till his book drop. You know we're gonna promote this shit here when it comes out,
Yes.
because it is something that needs to be by your bedside like a Bible,
Real
because
talk.
it is very important to picking the
sure.
right mate. And I've said this before, and I know I was talking to a couple of therapists, and I told one of the therapists that women need to pick better. And she went off. Oh, she was so triggered, right? And I have so much love and respect for this woman, right? Because she's a therapist. But she was triggered. She was so triggered by me saying that women should pick better. And I told her, hold up. I tell men all the time, you better pick better. Because when Jeezy came out, I wasn't siding with Jeezy. I didn't side with Jenna. I made a post that said, Jeezy, you got to take this L. And guess what? I'm going to tell you what I tell women. You got to pick better. Because that's what it is. You have to pick better. He should not have been in a relationship with this woman in the first place, because everybody knew who she was. Her family's low-key suspected racist. You know, she has a disdain for men. You know, the mother is living her life through her daughter, which makes her a mama's girl, which is another toxic trait that a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of women out here that are losing great men because they have the girls that they're messing with. Their mother is controlling them in these relationships. Their mother is telling them how to operate and what to do and what to say. And that turns off a lot of men, because it's like, yo, are you living for you or are you living for your mama? You know, and that in itself is problematic, just like how you women talk about boys or that are controlled by their mama. You don't like mama's boys, we don't like mama's girls. Point blank. There's both toxic in it. You know, you can love your parents to an extent. You have to have boundaries. Right? So I want to show people this video, and then I'll turn it over to you guys, and I'll let you guys basically comment on this situation, which we all know shouldn't have been a situation in the first place. All right.
Didn't notice that I had a hot temper until I got with Jeezy, and here's a person who is my equal, and I really respect. And when I would spew some of my old habits, and he was like, like, who? That's not flying here. And also, it would trigger him to come back at me with things where I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? But I was triggering him. But he never told me to fix my temper. I just saw it and I thought, unless I want to stay in this place where I lose this person I love and I stay in my comfort zone of doing what I want to do and function the way I have for the last 40 years when nobody else had to stop me.
Which obviously has done quite well for you.
Right, I could have. But this.
All right. So there's two things that I want to just say real quick. She said that she had a temper, and Jeezy never told her about her temper. And the thing about it is, the other thing that is, like I said before, he would have known about her temper and how her sentiments is if he had did his study and research that she had these issues with her past dude who was white, right? And that was a rift for him, because you know white men aren't going to take your attitude in any shape or form. They feel more of, listen, you're the woman, you need to listen to me, shut up and be silent. That's how the attitude in their society is. They're ran on that type of dynamics. And she was telling her, Jeezy didn't talk to me about my attitude. And that's another thing you women need to understand. You need to know when you have an issue and address it, because men aren't going to address it, because, you know, when we address it and you don't listen, it becomes like you're aggravating, you're nitpicking, or on the defense mechanism, you pick up something else and say, well, you do this and I don't say nothing. I hear a lot of that. So I definitely land my mic on that, and I'll give it to you guys.
I mean, who didn't see this coming? You know what I'm saying? Like, who didn't see this coming? You know, I had to holler some of my passport bros on this, because I feel, even though they don't feel like it's an L for them, I do. Because some of the passport bros, they're like, hey, you know, you go to a different country, and you pick up a woman who has a different set of values because she has different culture, what have you, and that's how you find your happiness. Okay, I can get with that. I can support that. I can agree with that. But some of the passport bros, there's another percentage. I say maybe about 40% of them.
Yeah,
they hide behind their passport broness as a shield to avoid talking to black women. You know what I'm saying? And that the coon aspect of the passport bros or the coon contingency within that community, I can't rock with. You understand what I'm saying? And they're like, any chick but a black chick type of shit. And they were cheering for Jeezy when he married Jeannie, and they were talking about how, she's so wonderful, this and that, blah blah blah. She don't act like no black chick. I mean, boy, they poured it on real heavy.
I seen it.
I seen it myself. But a lot of people who know Jeannie from round the way said Jeannie was just another San Diego hoe. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I think that's where she's from, San Diego. But she's just another round the way hoe, and she just acts like she just happens to look different, but she acts like all the other round the way chicks. You know what I'm saying? She's like similar to what they say about Janae Aiko. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, I just want to point out to people, toxicity is toxicity. Poor quality people is poor quality people. Not doing your due diligence and thoroughly vetting this motherfucker that you putting a ring on their finger and saying you're going to wake up next to them for the rest of your goddamn life. Fool, is not what you do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what race it is, what culture, what ethnicity, whatever the case may be. We all got our fuck ups within our society. You understand what I'm saying? And I do believe that black people need to have a little more grace with other black people because as a collective, we are not okay. As a collective, we have real trauma as a group that we're all collectively healing from. We have our demons, man. So we need to be a little more patient with other black folks. But I am not surprised in any capacity. They were the odd couple. Jeezy started acting weird and doing goofy shit when he started dating this chick. You feel me? And I like Jeezy, but I was just like the video of him out shadow boxing on the lawn. The fuck was that? No, he wasn't doing shit like that before he started messing with her. Just the way he started comporting himself and moving, it just changed so much. And I embrace good change. If a woman causes you to change for the better, that's great. You understand? I ain't mad at that, but I just wasn't convinced. You know what I'm saying? And I always looked at Shorty side-eyed. Anthony told me she was an avid racist, low-key. I just found that out when some of the clips resurfaced. And I mean, I'm watching these clips and I'm like, how the hell could you marry that? And this is from a video clip. You know what I'm saying? And so, you married her and had a kid with her, bro, you wasn't thinking. And a lot of brothers, when a chick is looking good or she's quote unquote exotic or whatever the case may be, all logic goes out the window. We got too much to lose. We got to start being smarter than that. She wasn't good enough for him to begin with. And I'll land my plane there. Good riddance. Shit. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I feel you 100% on that. Bobby, you want to tune in on that?
Bum ass.
What I will say to give her credit, they talk about trying to find a silver lining somewhere. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I give her props and I give her credit for at least acknowledging her BS. And not just acknowledging, but doing it in a public fashion, because that confession right there, look, some of these women you would have to waterboard, you would have to slide bamboo slivers underneath their fingernails, you would have to attach jumper cables to their nipples, you'd have to go ahead and have cockroaches take samba lessons on their body and whatnot. They're not about to admit their shortcomings for nothing. You got
I'll give her credit for that.
Broad, brainwash. You got to get them high out their mind on whatever to get them to slip and say something.
Mm-hmm.
She at least had the integrity to be honest, be transparent, say what the case was, and put it out there that this is something that she's dealing with. Now, out of light for her own sake, if her confession also included that she was also seeking help for that, because that kind of behavior, you've been that way for over 40 years, that's more than just a simple, okay, let me just mentally check myself. It's not that simple. You've been this is a whole way of life for you. You're going to need some help to go ahead and unpack that and do things to handle that. But at the same point, again, credit to her for acknowledging her foul ups. I don't believe that she did this with her ex-husband, or the first husband, because I don't believe that she fully respected him. But I do believe that she did respect Jeezy. She really wanted to work out with him. And she didn't check her bad habits at the door. She didn't clear up her baggage. And it cost her a relationship that she valued. Her story is not uncommon. This happens to a lot of people. It happens to a lot of women, where because they value their ego, they value their pride more than they do their relationship, it costs them. Your ego is too big. You can either get it in check, or you can have a solid relationship, but you can't have both.
Real talk.
You can't. It can't be done, because as long as you have that overinflated ego, that means you're only in a relationship with yourself. Yeah. Your mate is the side chick or the side dude to you. You got to get your ego in check. You have to be able to rein it in and get control over it. Otherwise, it's going to control you. And now here she is on the outs. No, all the best to her. Hope she goes ahead and she takes initiative to go ahead and get help to iron out those issues and get to the root of it. But Jeezy doesn't seem like the type of dude to double back and make U-turns. So I believe that if he's done, then he's done. He's already looking to get joint custody of his daughter. He's looking to be active in his child's life. He's not going to leave the child fatherless. So big ups to him in that regard. Yeah. But Jeannie has to get it together. She is not 20-something. She's an older woman with bad behavior. That's not attractive to brothers, especially dudes that actually have some value. Now, the dusty dudes that ain't got nothing going on, they'll be more than happy to take that. But the kind of man that she's interested in is not going to entertain that. And if he's going to get that from a woman, it's not going to be someone the same age. He's going to get it from someone younger, not older. So Jeannie's situation is definitely reflective of a lot of other women's situation. She should be a lesson and a teachable moment for those women. Don't sit back and just comment on the story. Make sure that you're not the next Jeannie Mai.
Real talk. Yes. Yes. Definitely. That's it right there. That last sentence. Say that shit again. Say it again.
Don't just sit in the stand. Don't just be in the audience. People at the movies and they're like, oh, girl, that was a good show. I like that show. Me too. No. This wasn't about that. We was talking about you.
Yeah.
This was just a fable. This was one of those Anansi fables. No.
Right.
The main character here is Jeezy and Jeannie, but in real life that's your ass.
Yeah, it's your ass.
So don't sit under the lesson, don't sit under the teaching, and then completely miss the teaching.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your ass out here and practice it.
Remember what they say. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others. Smart people learn from their own mistakes. Stupid people don't learn from anything.
Just saying.
If Jeannie bounces back and becomes a better woman, she's able to iron out those kinks in her personality and get it right with another man of equal or greater value to Jeezy, then she's smart. She learned from her mess ups. Women who watch this play out, if they learn from Jeannie's mistakes, then they're wise. But it's the stupid idiot women who will sit back and watch this play out in real time. They got the details. Jeannie's not trying to cover up anything. She's being open and transparent. They persist in their stupidity. You a dumbass.
There it is. That is.
With the whole Jeannie situation, we have to understand that let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. Jenny and her family is what, if she was white, they would call her poor white trash. I'm just being real with it.
Mm.
They're from Vietnam. I think they're Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And they're from the lower side of it, and they're trying to shoot as high up as possible. And the problem is that Black folks always seem to treat women outside of their race on a bigger pedestal. You know, when I see a lot of these brothers that go out here and get women from other race, they don't pick the best quality of women from other race.
No, they
but
don't.
They deserve the best quality from their own race. And I find that to be so hypocritical, you know. That's why I said Jeezy and Jenny should have never been together in the first place. And I think as a Black man who has worked his way up from the ghettos, from being at, you know, the poorest level that he was at, and earning himself a great career, great living, and highly respectable across many race of people. To have the whole family riding on his back off his expenses, you know, I feel like it was just too much. You know, and they probably were the same ones who had more to say about his child and what you know, what direction the child should go in more than him. So it's like, hold on, I'm not gonna sit here and take it from your brother, take it from your mama, and take it from you, and all three of y'all toxic. No, I'm good. Let me sign these papers and get out of here and
There it
take
is.
custody.
So it is.
We gotta tell fellas, I'm telling you, you gotta pick better. I'm tired of seeing you guys run to other race of women thinking that they're better, and you're picking up the tail end of the garbage. You're digging in the garbage when you're telling us that you struck gold. It don't make sense. It always comes back and bites you in the butt. That's point blank, you know. And we have to do a better job at that. So,
really quick before we move on,
shout out Kanye West. Go ahead.
Hey. Real quick, I do want to give Jeezy his props for something as well too, and this is something that I've been harping on for a long time. Now, hands down, I'm a huge proponent of marriage. I'm a huge proponent of the nuclear family. I think it's vital and essential, especially for Black people. However, when all roads have led to failure, everything has been done. Once all the boxes have been checked off, once you've done everything that can be done within your power, you need to know when to get the hell out of Dodge. I give Jeezy props for recognizing a losing situation, a situation where things weren't going to be fixed, they weren't going to be resolved. We've come to a place where things have gone too far. I'm not able to deal with this any further. And he went ahead, he left the house, because the way they talked about it, he just left. He just once he made his mind, he's like, let me get up out of here. I imagine that things probably reached a boiling point where he was probably going to snap or do something that was going to jeopardize his future. Hint, fellas.
Right.
And once he was able to get away, calm down, get to himself, that's when he went ahead and started taking proactive measures. I need men to start being proactive.
Yes.
Right now, the divorce rate has consistently been overwhelmingly led by women for the longest. Women by a strong 80% plus margins, probably even closer to 90 than 80. But the bulk of the divorces are filed for by women. And don't be goofy and believe that it's all because these men are terrible. They're all abusive. They're all drug addicts and alcoholics. They're all deadbeats. Don't believe that's not the bulk of those situations. I would suggest maybe a third. If I'm being generous, maybe 40-45% of those divorces are a result of men actually being horrible and horrendous. A lot of times, women plain simply get bored. And we've seen some of those situations pop up recently where we've been talking about, oh, I left because I'm not happy. No mention of counseling or therapy or trying to reinvigorate them. Just, I'm not happy. And that whole mindset of, I'm walking away from whatever doesn't serve me. That whole nonsense. I choose my happiness over everything. That whole line of tripe. I need brothers. When you are in a dead end situation, I need you all to not wait till things reach a boiling point to where you have to respond emotionally, where you have to either lash out physically at her, or you go out and cheat, commit adultery, and then give her ammo to divorce you. Now your finances is getting screwed. When you see that you have reached an impasse, I need you to go ahead, do like Jeezy said, file for divorce, get your things together. We have a number of divorce attorneys out here that specialize in dealing with male clients. Reach out to them, hey, this is my situation. My wife is doing XYZ, or this isn't happening. What steps do I need to take to protect as much of my assets as possible?
There you go.
Find out what to do and be intelligent about it. Because the idea of, well, I'm just going to stick around and I'm just going to get something on the side to supplement it, that doesn't work. Because you're the one with the grievance, not her. But as soon as it comes out that you're cheating, bam, she's got you. She gonna file. When it's all said and done, she's gonna weave the web and have everyone believing that you're everything but a child of God.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, you're just a brother that's been sexually neglected. She's been verbally abusive towards you. She's been playing with your money. She's been wasteful and not being a proper steward of the house's finances or whatever. Or who knows what else is going on. Mm-hmm. Start being intelligent. The worst decision that you can make is no decision at all, because then you are surrendering your power to the other side. If you gotta have to go down, pull the trigger yourself at least. Go out on your own terms, but do not allow somebody else to dictate how you get put down. If it has to go bad, at least be the person in the driver's seat. Take ownership. Take the charge.
Definitely. That's solid advice. Fellas, you gotta know your worth. You gotta know when to, take the reins and control your own destiny. If not, they're gonna, run the car into a wall, and then you end up you being the one killed in the process. So take over, make sure you guys are on a level where you have everything planned out. Don't just react out of emotion. Have that male leadership of knowing how you plan everything out, how you plan out your escape route and the details of it. Because sometimes you might have the courts get involved and they be like, oh, well, how do you feel like, how can you manage this? And you're a entertainer, this and that. And you say, hey, well, I do this and this is my schedule. I have time here, my slots here, da, da, da. So Your Honor, if that's great for my ex-wife, we can work through that with my schedule being over here. Everything else is, and then the judge is like, shit. A lot of times, a lot of guys don't understand when you go into the courtroom and you have your documents and your paperwork and you're on point, they're more likely to be in your favor than the other person.
True.
I'm telling you this now, fellas, because there's nothing more impressive to a judge than a guy that comes in and is on point with everything. And then they looking at the woman like, shit, you the problem, not him. So
can't walk in with your dick in your hand.
Exactly. It says a lot.
And I know some brothers that have come out on top in things like custody disputes or whatever. I know some brothers who've been transparent about how they were able to be successful. And like you said, one of the key things they all had in common, those brothers, was that they had all their ducks lined up in a row. They had the answers for the judge's questions before the judge could even answer them. So before the judge could even get in their bag to do what they came to do, it's like, well, this is going to be pretty hard to fight against. What do you got for this? And a lot of those women just sit back there expecting that the courts are just going to have their back, so they don't even have that kind of documentation or what have you. They just believe that their word is going to be enough, because in most cases it is. But it's just like no-fault cases. If you already have the evidence, or you already have what you need in place right there, then it makes it easier for them to lean in your favor as opposed to the other side. But if it's a case where y'all have the same amount of evidence or the same amount of justification, whatever, then probably going to go with the women. So you have to come to the fight better armed.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the tail end of it. Because see, she says that she's devastated, right, about this because, she didn't get married to get divorced. But the reality of it is that the money is more powerful with him in the household than him outside the household. Because now I have to limit just to my daughter and not take care of you, my daughter, your mother, and your brother. So now he cut the cord off the leash, and now she's looking at it like, dang, I really kind of messed up here, and she's saying that she's fighting. She says she was fighting for him to stay together. And, once a man leaves or anybody in a situation leaves and files for divorce, it's pretty much a done deal. They are at their ends with before they even got to that level.
Real talk. The woman ain't shit when the man filed for divorce. A man filed for divorce, you ain't shit. When the man filed for divorce, bro. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yes.
When is the last time a celebrity man filed for divorce?
Yes.
Ooh, your ass is garbage.
Yeah, you have to understand that a man files for divorce, there was a huge red flag of disrespect that happened for that man to get up and file in papers like that.
You damn right.
I agree with that.
It's time that we reevaluate the saying "it's cheaper to keep her," because when that saying was coined, it was about finances. But men are starting to understand. I believe they're starting to realize that when it comes to peace, it's bigger than just finances, because you might save some money, but if it's going to mentally run you in the ground, if it's going to have you standing on a ledge or with a 9mm in your mouth or something, whatever, or ready to go and you snap and then you take out the whole family, whatever. How much did you really save? It's if you were a producer, and again, big ups to Jeezy again. If you are a productive man, you can afford to take an L in the finances, but you're a producer. You're gonna get back up.
Right. You a hustler.
But now if you a bummy dude, if you're a complacent dude, you just want to basically just chill and just, get by, then you kind of handcuff yourself a little bit, because every little crumb you get, you have to keep, because you're really not sure if you're gonna see another crumb again. So this is why, brothers, complacency is gonna be a death sentence for a lot of us. Get your paper together. Get your multiple income streams going. You need to find ways to elevate yourself in your careers, or if your career doesn't have much of an upside, you might need to switch industries. But you need to take steps where you can insulate yourself financially, because a man who is financially insulated, I didn't say rich, but if your accounts are insulated, bulletproof, you take a hit today, you go be back up tomorrow, whatever, the freedom that you're going to have all around your life is next level. You'll be able to do things like, file for divorce and not worry if she takes half, because, that's not going to be the last 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 that you go make in your life. You're going to have a lot more of that to come.
Right.
But it starts now before you get in that situation.
Exactly. Great point. I want to get into the toxicity of a couple of these women that I'm about to show you guys. As you guys know, these were one of the group of women that I put on the flyer that you guys have seen that's been posted for tonight's show. And the reason why I put Jada Pinkett and her mother on there, let's get down to her mother. Her mother is very toxic. And the toxicity comes from generations, because Jada's grandmother, if I'm not mistaken, I remember on Red Table Talk, I think her mother talked about how her grandmother had her masturbating at 8 years old. Am I saying that right? Y'all remember that?
No. Let me jump in real quick. Okay. She talked about not her masturbating at 8 years old.
Yeah.
She talked about how her grandmother taught her to masturbate when she was 9 years old.
Yes.
That's the specifics. Yeah. Okay. This woman is too dumb to know that she was being molested, but go ahead.
Okay, got you. Okay, so that was the thing about the grandmother teaching her how to masturbate at 8 years old. And I thought that was it was cringing to hear that on the Red Table Talk, because I'm saying, my thing is, I don't have any children, but I've raised a lot of children through my exes who had children. And one thing I always told my exes is that you always keep the child in a child's place. Meaning, let children be children. They have a whole world ahead of them. They have a whole life ahead of them, to get to the level that they need to get to as adults. with the conversations that we had, we kept the conversations general and kid friendly. We didn't have grown people conversations in front of these children.
Right.
You know, I was always adamant about these children, you know, sleepovers. Yes, y'all could have sleepovers, but y'all have to bring the children over here. We're not putting you them over there because I know that you have total protection over here. Ain't none of that stuff going down over here. I don't know how people operate their household. So if they want to sleep over, then come over here. We can cook for them. We always did that, had the outings, everything. It was so super dope. But you got to let children be children. Let them enjoy their childhood, because if you don't, they end up being like Michael Jackson, who ends up being at the age of 40 years old and is in the bed with children that he brought to his Never Never Land, and having these allegations or reports that he was molesting them, and he wasn't. What he was doing was having sleepovers with children, because his whole life his childhood was deprived. He had to work at a very young age in the Jackson 5. There was no time to play. Joe Jackson ain't give them no break. Joe Jackson ain't make them engage in child activities. When we looked at the movie, we saw the only fun time they had was jumping on the bed and hitting each other with pillows, and they got in trouble for that. So you gotta have these children live their lives at a young age, or they're gonna take that and try to live it in the older age, and that's where we have a lot of problems at. So make these children be children. So, like I said, I thought that was cringing when I heard about that with when Jada's mom spoke about that on the Red Table Talk, and I just wanted to show you how the toxicity just trends and goes from generation to generation, and it hasn't been broken yet, because the youngest daughter of he only has 2 children, but the daughter of Will Smith is no, he has 3 children. My bad. He has 1 daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Two from Jada.
He has 2 from Jada and 1. Yeah, I think his oldest is a son, right?
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah. So he only has 1 daughter. Okay. So the generation of curses is dropping. It's not in the youngest daughter. She's so weird and out of place in the stuff she says. And I know she's gonna be toxic to whoever she engages with.
She's done.
So yeah, the generational curse is continuing. So this is why we say that toxic femininity is so damaging to our community, that you had Jada Pinkett go out of her way to basically do this on her husband's birthday, right? On her husband's birthday, Jada Pinkett goes on her Instagram account, and the disrespect that the fans are saying is fans slam Jada Pinkett as she shares throwback video with Tupac lip syncing to Will Smith's song on his birthday, right? It's like, yo, you can't be that insensitive and disrespectful to your mate. That's just a slap. That's not even a slap in the face. That's a brick to the face. You know what I mean? And she put up this whole thing, and I'm going to read it to you real quick. Not in a million years I would have dreamed that the Fresh Prince and I would become very acquainted. Not in a million years did I imagine that the fates would be so intertwined. And I never would have imagined that this video would have become a tangible memory of the last time Pac and I were simply kids together. Pac and I lip sync Parents Just Don't Understand by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince during our junior year in high school. Who would have thought? And that's what she captioned it. And I'm like, you're doing all of this on your dude's special day.
Jesus Christ, man. This woman is the gift that keeps on giving, bro. Like,
gosh.
I'd have been paid a hood rat to beat her ass. A long time ago, I'd have been paid a hood rat to whoop her ass. Bruh, are you serious? No,
I didn't know that she dropped it on his birthday. I knew that it was made or whatever.
I think I think that's what people were saying was on his birthday. I didn't follow behind to see if that was
all the issues with Tupac.
Yeah.
And she better way to continue to make these parallels and ties and do it on.
This woman,
I'm thoroughly convinced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thoroughly convinced that her goal is to push that man to unalive himself.
that's what it seems like.
And
That's what I'm real talk.
she wants dude either to divorce her or to unalive himself. I don't think Will is going to. I think if he divorces her, that's going to be because I think it's taking a lot for him psychologically to stay in. And I think he believes that this is okay. He's trying to make this okay in his mind, and he's trying to justify it. Well, he's keeping the family together and everything else. I think he's really fighting to make this make sense for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that divorce is an option for him, but I believe she's going to keep on pushing until she gets separation from him one way or the other in this life or the next. And to be honest, I'm really, really, really afraid for Will.
So
Agreed.
I stand corrected. His birthday is tomorrow. She did it a week. I think it's a week before his birthday.
Okay.
Which I think is still distasteful because it's leading up to his birthday. Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid for his actual birthday. Then what's going to happen? Jesus. Okay.
Oh my God.
She might send that man a cake shaped like Tupac. I don't do at this point. I don't know. I have no high expectations for this woman. She keeps finding ways to amaze me and drop my jaw with the contempt she's showing this man.
Oh my God. I mean,
I hate it.
She's the personification of a turd, bruh. How do you rationalize that in your mind? You know, and then when people start calling you out about it, you don't take it down, you don't apologize, you just let it sit there.
Double down on it.
What is going on in this person's brain? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I believe you when you say her level of disdain for this man is so great that she wants him to do something to him to hurt himself. And I since the Oscars, I've been worried about Will Smith, and I don't like Will Smith. You understand what I'm saying? But I could see something was very wrong. You know, all these chicken heads and these simp dudes alike, they just got all the wrong shit from that interaction. This is a very sick household. And this is a man who is on the edge, man. Like, this nigga is capable of anything. If we keeping it a buck, you know, when you get to that level where you do something like that in a public space, you'll do anything. It's too much for you. It's too much for you to take. It's too much on your head at this point. So, you know, she better watch her ass before she fuck around and get what it is that she's asking for, you know, because that can go either way. And I pray that it doesn't. But see, when you don't do what Jeezy did, put your big boy pants on and be like, fuck this. Then you might end up doing what Will Smith did. Correct. And in the position that he's currently in that could inform what he might do. That's a very dangerous space to be for a man, for anybody, but especially for a man, because when we can't control things and when things are too much for us and too heavy on our head, as opposed to how women go to emote and, you know, they go to sadness and so forth, we go to violence. You understand what I'm saying? And it's just too easy, you know, for that perfect storm of things to come together and for somebody around him, not only him, but for somebody around him to really get hurt. You know, he slapped the shit out of Chris Rock, but he wanted to slap the shit out of Jada Pinkett Smith. And I can understand why. Not saying that he, you know, that would be right for him to do so, but I totally get it because she's always poking the bear. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean, this man is heartbroken over the fact that this bitch still can't get over Tupac. And she's still throwing him back up in this man's face. What is wrong with her? This woman has a serious mental problem, man. You know, and nobody's checking her. You know, for whatever reason, he's still afraid to leave her.
Yeah.
You know, and she's not going to stop. She's that kind of bully. She's that kind of masculine. She's that kind of despicable. She's going to keep on until she gets something until she forces him to do something to ultimately destroy himself because she hates this man because of his success and her lack thereof.
I remember Jason Black said a while back, and he said it recently too.
Mm-hmm.
What are the differences between men and women? When women are unstable and unwell mentally, they hurt themselves. But when men are unwell and unstable mentally, they hurt each other. And that's why you
Mm-hmm.
typically see these women, they'll do things, when they're going through it. Sometimes they'll commit suicide. Sometimes they'll take out the children as well themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Men typically go on rampages. They go on stuff. Remember that dude that went to that nail salon to take out his girl and went on a shooting spree in the neighborhood, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
And of course that's not a hard and fast rule. That's not 100%, but by and large that tends to be the case.
Yes.
So and it depends on, and really it's a coin flip. I believe in most cases in that situation, it would probably be just Will that gets hurt. He probably just do something himself. He wouldn't want to hurt anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know, depending on what the straw is that breaks the camel's back, where he is, what's available to him. It could be someone else that gets taken out than himself, or just someone else. There's when you psychiatric breaks can be predictable to an extent, but only to an extent. It's like when you drop a plate or you drop a glass, whatever. When it cracks, there's no guaranteed recipe. The whole thing might shatter into a million tiny pieces. It might fall into a couple big fragments. It
Yeah.
might have one big chunk. It might be a couple pieces here and there. It might be just some
Right.
cracks. You can't accurately predict how something's going to break. You just know that it's going to break.
Yeah.
And trauma is that way too. Sometimes you have people, if they start for trauma early enough, sometimes they'll just become very depressed, very into themselves, just very isolated. Sometimes they might become you get serial killers in some cases that way. You get serial molesters, whatever, for sexual trauma. And it depends on how they heal back, or how they snap back, or how the pieces get put back together, if they can be put back together. So this is not healthy in the long run. And I'm seeing a lot of feminists and a lot of women that have bile and vitriol towards men for one reason or another, trying to equivocate and trying to defend Jada. This talking about, well, they have an open relationship. Will been with other women as well too. He's been with men. She's protecting his gay secret. Here's the thing. Even if that's true, because a lot of this is speculation, Jada's stuff has been out on Front Street. It's been
Right.
verified and confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing outside of maybe some tabloid in somebody's grocery store by the checkout line that is also talking about the aliens that had a cup of tea with Boris Yeltsin and playing bingo with Elvis.
Uh-huh.
Will cover something that Will did. But let's say that that's accurate. Yes, they're in an open relationship and Will is just as active in the lifestyle as Jada is. Okay, cool. You don't see Will running Jada's name through the mud.
No, you don't.
You don't see him making posts and love letters and dedications to chicks he's been running with, or dudes he's been running with, or whatever. You don't see that.
You don't.
Whatever Will does, if he does it, he is discreet. Maybe something might pop up here and there, and there's something to it or not. But Will, for the most part, he plays it cool if he's doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Jada out here like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, she's disgusting.
She wants the attention. She wants the eyeballs. She wants the clickbait. She wants the smoke. So it's two completely different dynamics. You could argue that in their arrangement, Will is respectful of his wife. Jada has no respect or regard for him whatsoever.
None.
So and I understand that some people have that dynamic. That's what they do. More power to them. Cool. I'm not here to speak for or against that. I'm here to talk about the disrespect, because no matter what relationship you might be having, who it's with, respect tends to run the same more or less across the board. And one thing I do know, especially when you're a high profile figure, running people's faces in the mud in that fashion, it ain't a good look.
No, it's not.
That's not a kink. And we remember up until this whole nonsense, up until really this whole red table talk popped up when Jada had a platform to publicly shame and humiliate Will like this. Up until then, Will's whole platform outside of movies was being a wholesome family man. He was inspirational, motivational. You know, he always had a positive word to give people. You know, he was very interactive with his fans, whatever. I haven't seen anything like that from Will since.
Right. Real talk.
Back. She has tainted and sabotaged his brand that he was building and establishing for himself now.
Yeah.
Will's brand now is trying to heal and recover enough before the next fuck up, and the next time he's getting slammed in the pavement. That's his brand now at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's really to the point where it's a disdain, you know, that you have to tolerate this. It's like, damn, it's not even me, and I feel sorry for the man, and I wouldn't even want to wish my enemy to go through some crap like that, much less to take that from your own wife. You know what I mean? So definitely, man, fellas, you guys in a situation like that, you gotta pick better, because there's a thing about it, whether you have a child or you have a mate, whether you get married or whether you have a child, if you don't pick the right person, that moment of joy will end up being years of agony, pain, and resentment.
Yes.
You know,
so
you gotta make sure that you are choosing the right person, because it will be the determination of you living in peaceful and bliss versus living in hell and condemnation. I've seen it. I've watched different people go on both sides based on who they choose.
Yeah.
And the next person that I want to bring up is a prime example of that, because they too can either run some of your good mates out of the window. And this lady is notorious for doing it with her son. And I think, you know, it's so sad that him as a man, you know, we look at him and we see him and we say, you know, he's operating in a certain way, a certain fashion. But then when his mother appeared on Love and Hip Hop, now it makes sense why he's the way he is. And he actually had a confrontation with her, basically voicing out his opinion, disdain, and he ended up crying. To see a thug dude sit back and cry because he is so mad at his mother for being so toxic, that a lot of the toxicity that his mother has displayed over the years end up being in him, and he portrays and pours that toxicity into the women he dealt with, and now he's trying to get his life on track and not be who his mother is, and is going a whole totally opposite direction, and is, you know, trying to get his life back on track with something that has been so ruined. And it's the hardest thing for a man to put a set boundary on his mother, especially when she doesn't go out there to get the help to realize how bad her toxic behavior is, that is destroying the people around her, including her son. So, you know, it came out, Mama D goes off on Bambi, says she's a bad parent ahead of the Love and Hip Hop premiere, right? What do you call it? Mama D was called narcissistic after Scrappy confronts her about his upbringing on Love and Hip Hop, right? So you guys know that Scrappy and Shay have been together and everything like that. Mama D has been letting fans know that she shares a close relationship with Shay Johnson, who's recently had her first child. She does not like being questioned about her involvement in Shay's life and about why she's assumed the role of the child's grandma, right? Even though they're not together, this lady's still so involved with this man's ex. So even if he tries to get rid of the ex, his mother still has an attachment to her, knowing that he has another woman that she doesn't like. So Mama D has been letting fans know that she shares a close attachment with Shay, but Mama D has accused her daughter-in-law Bambi of ruining her relationship with her son, Scrappy, and upset of being jealous of her friendship with Shay. Mama D informed her followers that Bambi was to blame for her son's decision to cut off communication. However, Scrappy let it be known that he did not appreciate how his mother has been treating his wife. Mama D continued to take shots at Bambi on VH1 show and kept the hits coming on social media. So I turn it over to you guys because that's too much toxicity. That shit's been going on for years. And I just want fellas to understand how even your own parents can be so toxic that it would drive out a good woman out of your household, out of your life as well. So you guys can go ahead and dial in on that and give us your feedback on that level.
I don't really know much about this lady. I think I've seen her here or there, but what I've seen has all been bad. Whenever I see reality TV come on TV, I go out of my way to turn that shit off. I think it's idiot TV, and I don't see any value in it. So I don't know much about her, but what I do know, like I said, has all been bad. And off rip, when a man leaves a woman, why would you still be her BFF unless you wanted to start trouble?
Yeah.
That is something, and he should have checked that at the door. I would never allow that in my household. The fuck you mean you best friends with her or whatever? No, there's something called boundaries, and you know how I feel about boundaries. You understand what I'm saying? And that applies to your mama. That applies to everybody. If I had a mother like that, I probably wouldn't talk to her. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm so heavy on respect and boundaries, and like it doesn't matter who you are. She's just a despicable person from what I can see. You know what I'm saying? A despicable person who doesn't value herself and doesn't care about the image that her son has. Her son, she is not a celebrity. She's a nobody. And that's another thing. These reality TV people, I don't value them at all. They don't have any skill set. They have no talent, no redeeming values. And I don't know why, as a society, we put so much stock. I understand why you're talking about it because you're making a larger point. But people, generally speaking, anybody who has any proximity to a celebrity, people gravitate to them and fawn over them. And I just can't figure out why. This lady is a prime example of that. And this whole garbage culture that we have around this is a problem because most of the people who are around these folks, they go out of their way to ratchet up the ratchetness. My wife knows some people that are in a setting where they were approached about a reality show. I'll leave it at that. And, she was talking to me about how the people who were the producers on the show, would ask her, could she, did she have anybody that she didn't like? Did she have anybody she wanted to fight? They asked her to curse. My wife doesn't curse. You understand what I'm saying? Because they were trying to feel her out or create a persona for her to be part of these, reality TV show cast with all this toxicity. So I just want to speak to the toxicity therein, in and of that entity that is reality television. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that anybody's talking about. That's not something that anybody's really sounding the alarm on. These reality shows are put out there because of the toxic imagery that they portray of Black people. And I see this lady as being no different. In the little time that I have seen her, she doesn't respect anyone, including herself. She doesn't respect her son. She doesn't value her son's name, that is to not embarrass him. She's just like Jada Pinkett Smith, really. It's the same woman, just a little older, and, just the whole backstory. I don't know her, but I know her story. How you allow your son to be raised in a whorehouse? You understand? And then you can still walk outside your door every day and hold your head high. Fuck out of here, man. There's some people we just don't need to be listening to. Some people just need to sit the fuck down and not say anything. I'll land my plane there.
I agree with you. Drake, you got something to say about Mama D?
Similar to Major, I can't say too much about her because I really don't know much. I have never once watched a single episode of any of the Love and Hip Hops.
Mm-hmm.
While I will watch a reality TV show here and there, the reality TV that I do watch, it's not ratchet. It's not that nuts. I watch ones, and I even shared a clip with you guys before about the stuff that I do watch when I watch things. But I like to watch things that have some intelligence and some insight, even if there are some ratchet moments in it. I can't sit back and watch an overabundance of the nonsense. And if I feel it's going that direction, I'll turn it off real quick. It doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't engage me. So I can't speak to her too much. But what I will say is, for as long as Scrappy and them have been doing Love and Hip Hop or whatever, um, I've heard Mama D's name get brought up in conversation, seen whole posts and topics dedicated to her, whatever. And I ain't never seen anybody, not even the typical Cape Crusaders of the Sisterhood of Dysfunction. I ain't never heard anybody ever have a single good thing to say about Mama D, which says a lot.
Yeah.
When the women who take up and have a defense for everything, and they got their Wonder Woman gauntlets, and they pew 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 deflecting all kind of nonsense, when even they don't have your back, oh, you gotta be foul.
Yeah.
So I think the silence says a lot. I believe it was Dr. King who said that in the end, it won't be the words of our enemies that we remember, but the silence of our friends. Mama D ain't got no friends. All I hear is crickets. I either hear criticism or crickets. So that to me says everything that I need to know about who she is. And yeah, she sounds as though she has a huge issue of turning her son into her Oedipus. She has a whole son husband is what it sounds like. She sounds highly manipulative. I believe that the chick that he was with, that he got rid of or what have you, it sounds as though she was very manipulative. She went along with Mama D's program and was wreaking havoc in their household. And, once Scrappy did the right thing and booted this dysfunctional broad out the way and got someone who appears to be functional and healthy and isn't for the BS, now Mama D is trying to be manipulative and basically, join forces with the ex to wreak havoc with him. So this is just toxic womanhood overload on display.
Real talk.
This is where you get your conversation of the stereotypical monster-in-laws or what have you, or the classic in-laws from hell. This is where it comes from. This is what in modern sense. I haven't heard those terms in a while, but this is one of the avenues that it looks like and it could take the form of. Yeah. So this is just this should be a reminder for those people who do watch Love and Hip Hop or keep up with this. This should be, like in most cases, a gut check. Do I find myself reflected in any of these people? Do any of these situations sound like my situation? Am I doing this to my child? Do I deal with an in-law like this? Is my parent behaving this way?
Right.
What have you? Situations like this, if you want to get some value out of it, start taking a look at it and don't just sit back and just tune out and just, drop your jaw, eyes wide open with the flies coming in and out of your mouth. Actually take these things, and while you're being entertained, make it count and say, hey, does any of this reflect in my life? What lessons can I learn from this, and can I use in my own life? Make it work for you. Don't just sit back and give these people ratings and get them paper while you get nothing from it, but reduced IQ.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all.
And it's just so crazy that, like I say, you guys got to understand who you got to put boundaries on. It hurts to put it on your loved ones, but it's very necessary because it'll protect you in the long run. We're gonna go to a little. No, you know what? Let me go to the last one for the night. All right, our toxic woman of the night. We had to save this for the last one. So what you're seeing here is on the left is Kirk Franklin's mother, biological mother, and Kurt Franklin's biological auntie. They're sisters. So I want you guys to listen to this real quick, all right?
100%? How's that possible?
It's not. Baby, I can swear on my dead mother's grave, Rick Hubbard is not your father. I don't know what happened, how this paternity test.
All right, so it goes to say she don't know how this paternity test came up with that answer of being 99.9% this man's child. When you look at Kurt Franklin and you look at his father, you can see the nose is there and the ears are there. They're identical with the nose and ears. Off rip, you can look at that and say, yes, it says 99%, and you look at those two features and you're like, yes, that's it. You know, but for her to sit here and tell her son that after he did 2 tests, remember, this wasn't just one, he did 2 tests, and both of them came back 99% saying that his father was the man that somebody else said, you know what, you look kind of like that guy. And they were dealing with each other back in the day. And for him to hear that and then come around and ask his mother, not once, but twice, to be real with me. And your mother looks at the report with her sister, and her sister is just as toxic and said to her, I don't know how this is possible. This is what the sister says. And then the mother sits back and says, son, I can tell you on my dead mother's grave, which is your grandmother's grave.
Wow.
That she sat there and lied on your grandmother's grave, another insult to injury, and tell you that this test is not correct.
That woman should have rose above the earth like the Thriller music video and just slapped the cat piss out of her for that.
I mean, bruh,
I'll let you guys
not. I mean, that's just sick, bro. That's sick. This bitch is still lying. You done had 2 damn paternity tests come back on your ass. The first off, right? Shooter say he know how it happened. What up, Shooter? I know how it happened too. You was bouncing on dicks. That's what it is. At the end of the day, you got pregnant like everybody. That's just what it is. You dig? I'm just saying. And you was off the. You was off. I'm just saying. You was off the chain, doing what adults do. Okay, fine. Whatever the case may be, you caught. You understand? You'd have been caught 10 times over, and you sitting up there. You still lying. Your lying ass. Your son is looking for some closure. He's looking for some healing. And instead of focusing on that and being the bigger person, stepping outside of your sorry ass self, who you are. You understand what I'm saying? You're gonna sit up there and lie again to his face on your dead mother's grave. There is no lower life form than that. You understand? Like, how do you trust someone like that? Seriously, this is your mother. I get it. But how do you ever trust this person again in life? They won't even tell you the truth about your father after it's been proven. I have no words. I have no words. That just took the cake right there. And for a lot of sisters who wonder why it is that a lot of brothers have difficulty trusting women. You understand what I'm saying? That can sum it up right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, bro, it doesn't get any more low and slimy than that. You understand? Especially when it's not a question. He's basically just asking you to tell him the truth because he already knows. So he's just coming to you, hey, mom. He's kind of telling you already, hey, the test is 99.9% accurate. I don't know how that happened, baby. I swear to you on my mama's grave that I wasn't bobbing on this dick. Stop. Just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, at the end of the day, everybody got a past. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it sounds like she was one of these community chicks. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody had a piece and she probably didn't know. But you ain't got to say all that. You know what I'm saying? Just, hey, fess up to it, keep it moving. I apologize. See, that's the problem I have with people like that. When we're talking about toxicity, you toxic people out there, one of your worst toxic traits. I had a conversation with a family member this week, and this person asked me, what's so bad about me? Other than, I might ask for a little money sometimes. And
that's a dangerous question to ask.
that's a very dangerous question to ask, particularly when you're asking me. But I kept it cool. I kept it cool. And I just simply responded, you're very dishonest and you don't take accountability for things. And I gave a few examples, and I'm like, that is the reason why that's the reason why people have difficulty dealing with you. And that is what I see in this lady. And I pray for her healing. I pray for the family's healing. But, when it gets to that point, when you're that sick, this woman needs therapy. The obvious truth is in your face, and you still refuse to acknowledge it. My grandmother had a saying, there is nothing poorer than the man who refuses to see the truth. And that's just what it is. I land my plane. I'm just saying. My God.
I'm wondering, I don't know what her name is. I want to find out because I want to see if she was one of the chicks that DMX dropped in that song, man. It would make sense. Or you that type of chick. Say
I'm
less.
Just saying. Ridiculous.
She's absolute scum. She is absolute scum. I like what you point out because I do believe that, and I still haven't seen the documentary yet. Shame on me. I'll probably watch it once we're done because I think it's only 30 minutes long. It's really short, but profound. Very important, very critical and crucial. But Kirk, and bless his heart, that brother really does have a heart after God. I've seen a lot of things from him over the years, and I mean, when you deal with celebrities or whatever, you can only really see what's in front of you. But one thing I can say is hard to fake a track record over time. And while I don't believe that Kirk is a perfect man by any stretch of the imagination, everything that I've seen and heard about him, because people will definitely be quicker to shout out your faults before they shout out your upsides.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, real solid dude. And I believe in that moment when he went to his mother, that, like you said, it wasn't about him because he knew. He sees the DNA test. He sees this man. He sees, me and this man, we look very much alike. My alleged father, don't see it.
Right.
So he knew what he went because he understands the power, the negative power that comes from holding those kind of secrets for so long, and what it does to your spirit, what it does to your soul, the guilt. If you've ever been one of those people who've kept a secret from someone that you care about, allegedly care about, every time you see them, you tense, you can't relax because you're almost like you're afraid it's going to slip out of you. That does something to you.
Yeah, real talk.
He went to his mother trying to give her liberation. He tried to give her freedom. He tried to allow her to be able to take a deep breath for the first time since he was a small child and breathe deep and to get this off of her conscience. And damn it, she had that lie in the friggin' Cobra clutch in a rear naked choke, and she was not gonna let that go.
Nah.
You could have tied a tractor trailer around her ankle and rolled that thing off.
Yeah.
Like Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Damn it, you would have pulled her spinal cord out of her body before you got her to separate from that lie.
Real talk.
Because you find her for so long.
She's invested in that shit.
She is. And that's not good for her in a number of different ways. But this also really goes to really reaffirm why I keep saying that paternity tests are vital.
Mm-hmm.
They're necessary. Paternity tests should be mandatory along with all the other exams and tests that they run on children at birth.
Agreed.
And it's not just for the mental well-being of the child, because that's key. I have a friend right now, I shared with you guys earlier, who's dealing with the aftermath of finding out that her mother's not her actual biological mother. She's the product of an affair her father had. And she's basically suffered her whole life from verbal abuse by the woman she believed was her mother and then her father because of that. And it's just devastated her now that she's finding that out. But also, there's a number of issues that come with not knowing who your parents are. If you were born with some kind of condition, or there's pre-existing conditions that run in your father's side of the family that you're susceptible to, that you might have, if they know who your father is, they can maybe catch those things. They can say, well, let's run some tests on your family. Let's see if we can figure out what it is you have. We don't know what's making you sick, X, Y, Z, and the third.
Right.
If we're missing half of your genealogy, half of your DNA sequence, they might overlook that. Because the answer somebody else like you don't know anything about it. And so here you are, you have this condition that maybe could be treated, maybe could be solved early, or you can be saved from. And now it might be too late, it might be terminal, it might evolve into something else, all because mama was fast and free with that coochie, and now the sins of the mother have been passed on to the children in this case.
Yeah. Real talk.
It's not worth it. And I hear some women who do these things and they try to put it off as though, well, they're doing it for their child's well-being. No, you're not. You're doing it because you're trying to save face.
Yep.
Exactly.
You're doing it because you're embarrassed, you're ashamed. You should have been ashamed before you got down the way you were getting down. That's another story. But in this moment, the greatest, loving, most parental thing you can do would be to come clean with your child. And if they hate you, they hate you. That's fine. But that's their right. You do not have the right to deceive your child that you say that you love and keep the truth from them and hurt them in that fashion. Because what's done in the dark will come to the light. And if you're waiting for you to die before your child finds out so you don't have to face the shame and the confrontation that they're entitled to, you're nothing but a bottom-feeding coward.
Real shit. Real talk.
You want to call yourself an adult? You mess like an adult? Then damn it, you clean up like an adult.
That's what she was counting on. Taking that shit to her grave. That's what she was counting on.
If your child wants to hate you for your actions, let your child hate you. They have that right.
Yeah.
But you don't have the right to rob them of that.
Exactly.
Just to close, I'm glad that Kirk did find out the truth, and I'm glad he was able to actually find his father and reconnect before his father passed or something else, and they were never able to have that moment. That's a whole lifetime lost.
Yeah.
But hopefully they can make the time that they have with each other now count, and make that mean something. So
real talk.
That's right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I just want to point out two things for a video. I just want to show you guys a video real quick.
How much longer do you think you're going to be a prostitute?
As long as people buy this.
I'm mad that it's not showing you guys it's not that long of a video, but she basically says, yes, how long are you going to be a prostitute? And she says, as long as they buy this pussy, I'm going to sell this pussy. And there's a white correction officer guy that's like this. He's like, oh gosh,
God.
Jesus. All right, so I want you guys, I played that because
I'm addicted to the game.
I played that because, like I said, I want men and women to stop being so reckless. You know, when you're reckless out there, you end up giving your stuff away to a dude who looked like this. You see what I'm saying? And then you wake up the next day and you're pregnant by a dude that look like this, and then your child end up coming out looking like this, you know? So you don't want to be reckless with that sense of behavior. And I just want to commend all the women out there that's out here pushing back. We need more women to push back, even though it feels lonely. It feels like they talk crap about you being a pick me and all that. Please push back. Listen to this woman. And
this whole narrative that's being pushed that all black women are so hypersexual because every time you cut on your radio, every time you cut on your TV, all you see is these over hypersexual black women. That is bad. That is bad. And y'all don't understand what that can lead to. The same way promoting thugs and criminals hurt black men because it led to a stereotype of making people believe that all black men were that, is the same way this will hurt black women and making people believe that we are all over hypersexual, right? And you don't even see the bigger picture, but it's very much problematic. No other community uplifts the worst of their community. You will never see non-black women uplift trailer park trash and allow women who trailer park trash to be the face of them. You'll never let them see them tarnish their image that way, right? But not us. Not us. We'll let Pookeisha get the limelight. We'll support it. We'll get behind it. We'll sing the trash music. We'll stream the trash music. We'll repost the trash music. We think it's funny, right? We think it's funny until you see the results that come from it. When you see the trickle down effect of what comes from promoting that image of the person, of the people that you are.
All right. So sister, said some words that was real powerful. And I appreciate everybody that was out here doing what they need to do to make sure that we instill that our peoples are out here being perceived in a great light, because you don't understand the propaganda that comes behind it. Like she said, the image is everything. And just to prove to you that image is everything, remember, this guy killed Kane in Menace to Society. He raped Ebony on Players Club, got Jada Pinkett's brother killed on the set, on Set It Off, and dog I wouldn't even trust this dude in real life. And that says a lot for somebody to write that, because image is everything. Image is everything. That's why we don't like. That's why we don't like the little kid from Power, right?
Tariq.
We don't like Tariq from Power.
Oh, I hate him. I hate that little bastard. Yeah.
There's certain individuals you look at that you just don't like. You like, God, I'm so sick and tired of that person. I can't. I just hate it. That's powerful propaganda, and you gotta understand how powerful image is. So that's why we did this show tonight, Toxic Femininity. I wanted you guys to understand. I want to see if this video will play real quick, because this would definitely would end off our night before we get into the next. Let's see if this would play. No, it didn't. What I wanted to show you guys was the video of Rizza Islam. Toxic masculinity and toxic femininity really isn't a thing. It is. We use toxic femininity tonight because you guys understand it from toxic masculinity. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity, because masculinity protects you. Masculinity provides that added provision and making sure that the necessity is of keeping the elements in our community versus the bullshit coming in it. Masculinity protects that. It gives you that boundary. Toxic femininity, feminine origin. There's nothing toxic about feminine origin. Every woman should be living and basking in their divine femininity. You should not be divine and in no feminist crap, and you damn sure ain't supposed to be toxic. So toxic femininity and toxic masculinity, the prime narrative of that is toxic individuals. It's toxic. Not masculinity, not femininity, toxic people. That's who you need to be aware of, stay away from, and live your life basking around positive individual people. If you're toxic and find yourself toxic, seek help. We gave you guys our our therapist on here. You guys could go back and look at that episode, get the number, contact, and get help. We want to basically eradicate all the negativity and all the foul shit that's been plaguing our community, and we have to do that. So with that being said, we're going to definitely go on to our last segment, which is Crown Check for the night. And because we're talking about women tonight, I felt like we needed to bring up somebody that can be relatable to all the women, right? So who know better than this woman right here? Do y'all know who this woman is?
I do not.
Okay, so this woman is Anna M. Mangan, right? And if for y'all that don't know who she is, she's an inventor, right? And she invented this device.
Okay.
All right. So next time you cook with a pastry fork, a spatula, remember that this is a 13-year-old Negro Hebrew woman by the name of Mrs. Anna Manga, who invented it in 1892. All right.
Okay.
So definitely wanted to give her a shout out for being a young pioneer, an entrepreneur, and an inventor at a very young age. And you know, just to give a little bit more history to it, made a major contribution to everyday domestic household needs in the 19th century. Her invention was the pastry fork. To hear Andrew Mangan tell it, his wife first came up with this concept of the simplified manner of making pastry by an improvement of the pastry fork, and then and there described it to him. Description was so clear and a minute that Mr. Mangan often says when speaking of the incident, I saw that fork just as plain as you see now. He went out to his tool shed and whittled a prototype of the fork out of yellow pine. Once Anna approved the model, Andrew had a more substantive model of fork made, first from iron and then from white metal. And she received the patent for the pastry fork in March 1st, 1982. So shout out to Anna for being such an intricate person in our today's modern society, because without the spatula, we would have some burnt ass pancakes out here. All right.
No doubt. Shout out to her and all the other female inventors. Yes, that's I really respect that selection, because females often get overlooked for their contributions to society, the things that they came up with, the things that they invented, and so forth and so on. Yeah. I think that's a great selection. I think that you really reaching out to the sisters and showing that we see them in all facets, as inventors, as well as, supporters, as well as, CEOs, entrepreneurs. We've done just about everything involved in the sisters.
All walks of life.
Yeah, all walks of life. You got the Dr. Frances Cress Welsings, and then you have this sister, then you have the Dr. I'm sorry, I forget the other lady's name. You have the Phyllis Wheatleys and whatever. There's a good mixture, is what I'm saying, of the type of women that we're doing on the Crown Checks. And I love it. I think that's a great thing, because, there may be some sisters out there who have inventions that, they want to bring to the fold, and they're scared to do it. This might give them the courage, you dig? So that's what's up. Shout out to her. And a lot of us, we don't know, the contributions that our sisters have made, and the things that they've invented. It often goes overlooked. So shout out to you for that selection, and shout out to that sister for her contribution. Respect.
Yeah,
and as for the topic, real quick, toxic femininity, so to speak. I like the way that you went back over that. There is no such thing as real, actual toxic femininity, but toxicity within, the specific group that you're discussing. And we happen to be discussing females tonight. Sisters, my thing is this, and I talk to a good many sisters about this. Like you said, we need more sisters out there being more vocal about the toxicity that we see among women. That is what is going to usher in change. a lot of sisters, when I talk to them about this, and some that I outright check about this, there's sisters out there that I respect, that I talk to, and I check them about this. You see this going, you see that going on, you know better. How come you don't say nothing? You know what I'm saying? Because you need to be out there getting involved and saying something, because if you're not, that's the reason why we have these problems. We have the Sukihanas and the Sexy Red because we didn't check Lil Kim. Let's keep it a buck. You understand what I'm saying? And then that evolved into Trina. That evolved into, pick any I'm a hoe rapper and name. You understand what I'm saying? That's why we have them, because you're not doing your job checking them. You shouldn't be letting these women go out here, wear your uniform and behaving this way. You shouldn't be allowing that. Because when these dudes get out here and they start doing this buster shit, I got something to say. And I'm very harsh, I'm very critical. I don't coddle and make excuses for them. And there are a few sisters, one in particular comes to mind that I've had a few conversations about this with. I know that it's in a woman's nature to be nurturing and all that shit, right? But you're not helping these women when you make up these ridiculous excuses for the way they behave and you don't check that shit. You understand? When you go out here and you still keep supporting them, buying their concert tickets, reposting their their memes and their interviews, and even talking like them. Why are you a 50-year-old woman running around talking about, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with, like, serious, real talk? I mean, people just, their head and their ass are inverted a lot of times, man. Like, this the stupid shit they do. You have to learn to act your damn age. You know what I'm saying? And when you see the bullshit, it's incumbent upon you as somebody with sense, enough sense to know better, to say something and check that shit. And you got younger sisters watching you. I'm going to end on this. I tagged some sisters in this comment. Y'all remember this comment that I got on my page? A young sister that I used to mentor back in school said to me, I come to you, or used to, she doesn't talk to me that much no more, but I used to come to you, and I really appreciate you being there, because when I went to older women and asked for advice, they always gave me bullshit. I felt like they were sabotaging me. That's how the younger women with sense see y'all old heifers. Tighten up. Respect to the real sisters that's doing it. There are some of you that are. Sister Mila Renee, Sister Mona Lisa, Sister Keita, some of the sisters that follow us, some of them are in the chat right now or went in there earlier. They come to mind immediately. Sister Danielle, you know what I'm saying? These are some sharp sisters. I really, really respect what they're doing. There's some others whose heart is in the right place, but your actions need to catch up with what your heart is doing. Just feeling away ain't doing shit. You ain't moving the needle. You ain't helping nobody. And I'll land my plane there.
Well said.
Yeah.
100, about 200. Yeah. The long and short of it is there needs to be a reckoning. This is not sustainable. We can't have this. And I like that connection that you drew before, Major, about how when the whole premise was out that men are that black men are thugs, that black men are dangerous. Shout out to Hillary Clinton and the Super Predators comment, what have you. How those stereotypes that were fashioned about us, in large part, or I shouldn't say in large part, but largely aided by the plethora of media to go along with it. The images of black dudes holding guns and talking about drug this and drug that and so much, so on and so forth. How that's been used to fashion policy against us and to fashion on people's perceptions of us, and that's caused a lot of issues for us. And so you have to the point where you have people who are afraid of us, both legitimately and performatively for an agenda purpose, but selling images like the thing to do when black men walk by is to clutch your purse or to cross the street because you don't know what they're going to do. You don't want to be in an elevator alone with a black man. But the white man is fine, but the black man, you might be in danger. These are issues that to this day still dog us, even with an abundance of evidence showing that it's nonsense, it's not necessary. Um, you sisters who don't understand that you're not immune to this, you're getting it too. There's a lot of these men that aren't black that look at you as party favors.
Mm-hmm. Shit, even the black ones.
And you'll see that there. I saw it today now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been all but confirmed now. There was footage of them leaving Arrowhead Stadium in Arizona together. But there was. I remember when Travis Kelce got with his black girlfriend who was living with. I remember a whole bunch of sisters cheering and celebrating. Yes, yes, yes. They were applauding it. This very stylish white boy who's an NFL player,
right?
Conducts himself in the way that a lot of black men stereotypically do, or what have you. You know, he's one of the down ones or whatever. And a lot of sisters were cheering and clapping for it until they found out later on that Travis wasn't shelling out for her like that. They've been living together for 5 years. No proposal, no engagement, no marriage. She's just basically a living girlfriend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she's paying for things. He hadn't spent more than $5 on her their whole entire 5-year relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talked about that. And now, flash forward, here he is, booed up with Taylor Swift.
How about that?
And I can guarantee you, in the short time that they've been dealing with each other, I'm pretty sure he spent a whole lot more than $5 on her. And that's not to drive the point that that spending money in a relationship matters. That's not what the point is. But the point is the value. He was with someone for 5 years. She was good enough to move in with him. He's a multi-million-dollar professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
She was good enough to move in with him. But in terms of their shown their tangible appreciation, because you can't measure love. Oh, I love you. I love you. Well, how much? I love you this much. Can't measure that.
Right.
You can't measure that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just up to interpretation. But you can measure finances, and he did not spend, out of all the money he makes, he couldn't bother to spend the equivalent for him of pocket lint on her.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
But here he is with a white woman in his social bracket, and he's coming to her different. I can guarantee you that. Why? Because it's a value issue. One he values, the other he doesn't. Now, I don't have his whole resume in front of me, but might be an easy reason to assume why he values one over the other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of it just at the moment, but it might come to me eventually.
Maybe.
But we have to understand what our perception is.
Mm-hmm.
If the leaders of black female culture, and unfortunately hate it or love it, those are the people who get the most airtime. If the leaders of black female culture are hoes, if I want to get an idea of black society, and don't tell me that I shouldn't look there, because these people are influencing the globe. They're influencing global culture. They got multi-billion-dollar corporations using their music, their image, their likeness, their terminology, and talking points to be relevant. So don't tell me that it doesn't matter.
Yes.
When Sexy Red, when Sukihana, when Meg the Stallion, when Ice Spice, when all these low-tier bottom broads are your representation, you'll begin to receive the treatment that they're receiving, and not just from black men, but from other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Up until a few years ago, black men had legislation being passed on them in their own neighborhoods where they could be fined for having their pants saggy.
How about
some places that's still a thing. How much longer is it going to take at this rate for legislation that gets passed in black neighborhoods against black women for the things that they do? You got to think. You have to use this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that wasn't a factor, however, we should still be very, very protective and aggressive when it comes to gatekeeping our image. These people should not be our spokespeople, but they are our spokespeople because we keep supporting them. We don't support the positive, wholesome ones at the forefront. We keep supporting the BS and the nonsense. And if there are no healthy alternatives, well, then don't support anything.
There you go.
Sit back. It's not a true or false quiz. You can choose option C. Sometimes in life, not just in this, but sometimes in life, the only way to win the game is to not play the game at all.
Real talk.
Sometimes, no matter what choice you make, it's going to be an L. And the only way you can win is say, you know what? Y'all do what you got to do. I'm going to sit back. I got other things to do. Y'all fight that out. I'm not going to be involved on either side. Sometimes that's a smart move. That's the right move to make. But we have to have courage and give ourselves the permission to move in that way and to believe that we deserve better. Because if you don't see yourself as being above a sexy red or a Sukiyana, then you're getting exactly what you deserve. That's
real talk. Well said. Well said.
Definitely well said. And that concludes our show for tonight. I'm glad we kind of gave you guys real in-depth details to toxic femininity, and to avoid these women at all costs, whether it's friendship or relationship, and even your family members. It's okay when you reach a certain age to leave up out your toxic family member's house and distance yourself. It will work out better for you in the long run when you can have that cushion of distance to deal with somebody toxic who doesn't want to take the extra time to go get healed. All right, so it will definitely help you guys to avoid these people as much as possible. And I promise you that your life will flourish and you'll be happy and enjoying life to the fullest. All right. With that being said, next week we will not be on here next week because it's my birthday weekend. I'm going to be flying out of town, but we will be back the following weekend, and definitely have a good lineup for you guys coming up.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys for everything y'all do, and the constant love and feedback, and we really are gracious about it. And I can tell you this, that we're growing and we're getting better every day. And trust me, what we got for you guys in the future is phenomenal, man. So enjoy the ride, sit back, and I promise you're going to come to the promised land with us, just like Dr. King said. All right?
All right. Yay.
All right. With that being said, we up out of here. See y'all. Be easy. Peace out. All right, family?
Yo.
Be well.
Peace.
All right.
On the album, we do things like songs that are a little, what we call sexy. You can see from the title, it's more of a love album.